Okay, everybody, we are now filled with great ideas. No, we're filled with chocolate croissants. Thank you, Matt. They were delicious.
Well, we had to pause because if we'd eaten them on the couch, my wife would have murdered all of us.
Yeah, we don't want that. This is a nice couch. Of course, we're at Matt's home. We're very gracious and grateful. Wait, are we gracious? No, we're grateful, and Matt is very gracious.
He's a gracious host.
He is a very gracious host. We're off to a great start, as you can tell. Turns out when you only regained consciousness about half an hour ago, you're not at your sharpest, and yet we pursue onwards. We have 30 teams to get through, everybody. We're going to try and do 2 or 3 minutes a team. Matt is going to be our time master. We are on the clock. If Mark is editing this, I'm sure he's going to put in some cheeky timer, being like, oh, Henry goes over the time again, bloopy-doopy-doop. And that's fine. Love Mark. Appreciate his editing. Let's go. Number 30. Now, someone has to be at the bottom. There's no doubt about it. We can't. Someone has to lose, and lose often, and lose more than others. Gentlemen, who is number 30? Eric, tell me who's number 30. Who is the worst team? I know
We'll talk about structure first.
Oh, let's do structure. Yes, I beg
Good
your pardon.
idea.
Okay.
As always, we put a little thought into this, broken this into some tiers. This is all data driven. It is, as previously mentioned, infallible.
It's science. You can't argue with science.
Right. This bottom tier, as is tradition, is historically known as the dumpster fire tier. And this year's dumpster fire tier, it starts real bad, folks. It remains bad for about 4 teams.
Right. And
It's a very gradual progression here.
so this will be a challenging season for these teams, but they may have lofty ambitions for the future and some assets to trade or some players to pick off the waiver draft, which is coming in about 8 hours. Where are we at now?
Thereabouts.
Yeah, about that. Okay, I better get home for that. Eric, who is number 30? Who is the king of the dumpster?
This is a bit of a surprise, perhaps.
Oh.
But a strategic last place for Sylvain with Reykjavik.
Oh, GM. Yes, GM of the Reykjavik Riders are number 30. Now, Eric, it looks like they have a not great forward group.
Correct.
A poor defensive group.
The worst defensive
And the worst defensive group. And not a great goaltender. So we can't really expect much from Reykjavik this season.
Nope, we should not, but that is, I'm confident, by design.
Yeah,
I
well,
think Sylvain
that's right.
has understood the wisdom that is present on this couch as far as the gold trophy goes. The opportunity that lies. Yes.
What a great day to your favorite trophy.
We do have quite the collection of champions here on the couch.
Has there ever been so many champions on an SICHL preseason power rankings video other than 2017? I don't think so. I feel championly just sitting here.
This couch is lucky.
Yes.
It's getting weird.
And now, Matt, you have dove in to the psyche of all these teams and perhaps done an association.
Yeah, so we try to do themes every year. This year we have made the dubious decision, seeing how Henry and I attended a WWE event live yesterday. It's my first time I've ever been to a live wrestling event. And so this year we're going to attempt to do teams as wrestlers or wrestling-related personas.
Oh, I like that.
At least until we run out of ideas.
Well, thankfully, that'll never happen.
So the riders, quick notes. I mean, obviously, as Eric alluded to, Sylvain loves gold. We can all see what's going on here. The system encourages and incentivizes teams to behave in a certain way. We've got a number of teams who are doing so this year. Sylvain began this process last year. He is building a bit of an army right now with young forwards, particularly in this prospect group, and he's going to have another top 5 pick this year. So his wrestling analogy is he is a very young Jeff Hardy. It's going to be rough. He's going to lose a lot right now. He's going to be a bit of a league jobber for the time being, but there's brighter days ahead, and there's some future stardom in his future there.
We're going to see him swanton bombing other GMs not far from now.
But mostly just bombing right now.
Yeah, mostly bombing. Perhaps swanton bombing onto a table, and his opponent moves at the last second, and he slams through the table. Eric, this makes complete sense to you.
I understood none of those references.
All right. Well, that's all the time we got for Sylvain. Sylvain, always a pleasure to have you in the league as usual. Keep saying that you're not really sure about Pronman's ratings. You got your own ratings. Hey, if you want to publish your own black book, I'd read it. Moving on. Time waits for no GM.
Indeed.
Number 29, Eric, we're still in the dumpster. There's more than one
much.
team in the dumpster fire
We've got
category.
four this bottom tier.
4.
Next up is our dear friend, Matt Birch, Calgary.
I think my favorite trade partner I'm not saying the trades have been good.
How dare you?
Well, ours have come with baggage.
True.
Right? There's been
I can't.
there's been some
that.
kerfuffling about our trades. Perfectly legitimate, by the way. But when I mean-
Consenting adults.
yes. But Matt, I feel like we never have an issue. We're always like, hey, you want to do this trade? Yeah, sure. Done. I think our collective negotiating time, and I think the 6 or 7 trades we've made, maybe 10 minutes tops. So that's great.
Impressive.
Big fan of Matt. Glad he's back in the league. But his team's terrible. His
Yes.
team is awful.
The second worst forwards, the second worst defense, and among the worst goaltending.
Matt, what do we think about other Matt? Not the other nickname.
Oh, okay.
The other Matt.
The other Matt. All right. The
Other
other Matt. So the other Matt also has a plan. He has also been incentivized to behave in a certain way. He's doing so. Good strategic move. I quickly before we move on, I do want to say, like, what do we think of Zeev at 2 in this past draft by Matt and Demidov at 3? Like, these are big swings with second and third overall picks.
Yeah.
Taking a couple guys a little bit higher than they went elsewhere or perhaps rated elsewhere.
Confident.
We like it.
He's very confident in those picks, clearly.
Excellent.
Yep.
So because of that high risk nature, Matt is a young Rey Mysterio Jr.
Oh, I know you know Rey Mysterio.
I did understand that, Ray.
Awesome. That's great. Oh man, a big swing, like a 619.
He's jumping off the top rope. He's going to go through a couple of tables, and if it lands right, there is the framework here for a very long term of success. If one or more of those picks doesn't go the right way, we could see some regret.
Now, in calling him a young Rey Mysterio Jr. specifically,
Yep.
spoiler alert to a later ranking. Is there an old Rey Mysterio?
No,
reference?
you mean other Rey Mysterio. Not
I see what you did there.
Teams don't often pick 2 and 3, but Matt took some, as we've mentioned, some big swings. Very exciting. Lots of prospects. He still has some assets too. So Matt, I may give you a shout. Let's do some business. Let's move on. Still in the dumpster fire category.
Indeed. Yes. 28. We've got Dustin, Las Vegas Aces.
You knew this was happening.
No surprise.
No surprise.
This is one I will hesitate to say, but not perhaps the plan, like our first 2 candidates.
Oh.
Here, legitimately, shall we say?
Right.
Yes. This is an
by it
actual bad
honestly?
team.
But now,
Honestly, yes.
Dustin, I think Dustin has draft picks again.
Does he?
No, not now.
Are you sure?
think he
No, I
traded
thought
them all again.
No. Didn't he? I thought he got some back.
Not for the next 2 seasons. Not his first round pick the next 2 seasons. I did look at this.
Right.
But
There
some
we go.
other draft picks. He may find some diamonds in the rough.
He might.
He might find a street rat to go into the Cave of Wonders and get him a magic lamp. Right?
Where are you going with this,
Were you just
Mark?
inspired by the Mickey Mouse pajamas?
Yes, I can't stop staring at you. So yeah, everyone know the Aces were great for a very long time, but now the bill has come, and the Aces are going to be at or near the bottom for a while. However, Dustin is not afraid to make big trades and shake things up.
Yep.
So he may not be down here for that long, certainly going a different route than some other dumpster fire teams, but that's what makes our league so fun.
Correct.
There's many ways to win in our league. Yeah, Matt, what do we think about Dustin's wrestling persona?
Well, I was a little bit surprised to see Vegas this far down, just skimming the names, but the numbers don't lie.
Right. No, the math is infallible.
So it is what it is. And then you have the challenge of the lack of youth and lack of first round picks the next couple of years. So his wrestler persona this is a bit of a deep cut. He's Saturn, Perry Saturn from the WCW.
Awesome.
For me, he's actually a little bit better than you think, but he's also a little bit older, and I don't know if the brighter days are immediately ahead.
Now, Perry Saturn, they don't look similar, but I think your comparison is apt. He was part of the Radicals when they came over to WWE. Dustin's GM strategy could be seen as radical. So I think that works.
Okay.
Eric, what do we think about the Aces? Do they have any hope this year? Do we see Dustin making any more trades?
No and yes.
All right. Hey, 1 out of 3 ain't bad. Let's move on. What's the next team, Eric? This is our last team in the dumpster fire category. And of course, we say dumpster fire lovingly,
Of course. Should
encouragingly,
be
a good-natured rib.
Let's go with that.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a sad one, though.
Yeah,
This is a sad one
Yeah.
because this team had the single biggest drop in the rankings relative to last season's preseason power rankings.
Big-
11 spots down from
Big,
last year.
big oof.
That's Pat.
It's the Ottawa Slammers down here. The biggest drop.
With the worst forward group in the entire league. A shockingly good defense group,
Hey, okay.
but he's only going to trade maybe one of those guys.
Interesting.
He
Okay.
recently put out a public announcement that
Oh, I
Carlson
missed-
is retiring as Slammer.
Ah, okay. He's hanging on to him with an iron grip.
Indeed.
Okay.
Yeah. And very poor goaltending as well. So tough
Not-
times ahead.
However, I'm looking at Erica's color-coded the chart here,
Mhm.
and usually when we're dealing with dumpster fire teams, it's all red to indicate they're at the bottom of it. But that defense, something's there. Something's there. So we know Pat knows what he's doing. He is a former champion, as evidenced by the fact that he took a ride on Mark's sailboat, a championship ride that I got to tag along for. That was great. Matt, what do you think about Pat's team?
Well, the good news is that in the other league, Garland and Lankinen are having good seasons.
Yes, they are.
That's really the best news right now for the Slammers.
Mm-hmm.
The Slammers are goal dust. They love it. That's what we don't want here. It's pretty straightforward.
It's pretty great.
I will say Will Smith and Matt Wood are really nice building blocks.
Oh, yes, Will Smith.
100%.
Yeah, Will Smith's having a good year.
I like both those guys to perform to their draft slot.
Mm-hmm.
And like Matt Wood, there's definitely some high risk, high leverage there. But if he lands and with the skills that he does have, like there could be some real value there, even as a mid-round pick.
Slammers
Saw
first
it a couple years ago, didn't we?
Yeah, we saw
We
Wood
saw him in
in
person.
his draft -2 year.
Yeah.
Playing in the BCHL swim a couple times.
Very cool.
Stood out even then.
Yep.
That's great. Well, great job, Pat. Sort of. You got some stuff going on here. We could see a quick turnaround with the Slammers. As we've seen, we'll see with the rest of the rankings. From year to year, we see some wild variations in terms of who's up, who's down. So Pat dropped 11. We have another team later on, spoiler alert, that jumped 11. And you're never going to guess who it is. Never. It's not me. Don't worry. Very exciting. That's what makes our league so great, with a few trades, a few lucky draft picks, a few smart draft picks, setting your lines, sucking up to the sim. Anyone can get near the top. I don't know about at the top. But there we go. All right, that is the end of the dumpster fire category. Matt, how are we doing for time? Are we staying on schedule?
Yeah, ish.
Ish. Okay, great. Let's move on. I hope no one's offended if we don't spend a lot of time on your team. Just know it's not you, it's me. This is like what happens with the power rankings.
Boat to catch.
I feel great about the first 8 entries, and then I realize I've already spent an hour and a half, and I'm like, okay, power rankings done. We'll try not to rush, but we're going to rush. Eric, what's the next tier of teams? We've gotten out of the dumpster fire.
Yes. So we're coming into a 6-team tier, say that 10 times fast, comprised of teams that they're going to struggle to make the playoffs.
But it's possible.
It's possible,
Okay.
but they're not they're not good enough to consistently push for the playoffs this season, but they're also probably not going to be bad enough to get into that top draft pick area.
They're in the mushy
A
middle.
little bit.
don't
So
wanna
we're
be
going
the
to call
mushy
this
middle.
category the Fool's Gold tier.
Oh.
Think of something else I'd call fool's gold.
What could that be, Matthew? All right. Who is the first team in the Fool's Gold Club category?
Yeah, we're looking at the Regina Bisons here.
Oh, the Bisons.
Yeah,
Jeff,
Jeff.
I hope
Jeff
you're
with a
watching.
G.
I hope Jeff's doing well. We have Jeff with a G, the Regina Bisons. Matt, tell me about the Bisons. What's going on with them?
Forward situation's fine.
Hey.
Everything defensively is going to take some time to piece together. Obviously, the highlight here is
yes.
Macklin Celebrini, who
Oh,
looks like
yes.
a beast. Like this
Mad
is
jelly.
a player that you're going to be able to build a franchise around. He may not have the top end offensive, but I think the total package there, like this is an elite prospect. I actually think Celebrini is better than he was appreciated as a number one overall prospect.
Right.
Rub my nose in it, why don't you?
For that totality of game. So
We've all been there.
right now, the Regina Bisons are Rocky Maivia.
Oh, yes.
It's pretty ugly right now, but it's
man, he's gonna get good.
there's an underlying mega stardom waiting there, I think.
We won't be like the original crowds when they tried to make him a face and they chanted "Die Rocky, die." No, we're not going to do that. That's very exciting, Eric. What do we think about Regina? I mean, so I see see on your chart
So-
here. Goaltending is the real issue.
This is the thing.
So this is the worst goaltending in the
is,
league.
this is where if Jeff doesn't want to remain in the Fool's Gold category,
Yeah.
it's actually a relatively straightforward task. Well, maybe a simple task. Let's put it that way. Not an easy one.
A simple but not easy task.
Acquire a goaltender.
Hey, you could say that for a few teams
It's
in the league.
one thing that he needs to do, but probably the hardest thing to do in this league.
Why are goalies hard to come by or something?
Last I checked.
Are they valuable in our league? I didn't know that. Yeah. All right. Well, Jeff, you have your marching orders. Great job. Celebrini. I'm very jealous as someone who doesn't have any centers. Great work. And just try and keep the puck out of your net. Perhaps, you know what? You could just have 6 skaters the whole time. That may work out.
Might actually be a better strategy.
May work out better.
You may have alluded to advice I'm going to give another GM later.
Oh, all right. All right. Moving on. We're still in
Yes.
the Fool's Gold category. Hey, one of my
Indeed.
favorite teams. And hey, we've seen some improvement.
We have.
With the Dublin Shamrocks.
That's right.
The Dublin
Up
Shamrocks.
5 spots from last
And
year.
they're at which spot are they at? Number
They are
20?
number 25.
25.
And,
Good Lord, we have a long
and-
way to go.
In terms of their composition, the exact opposite of Regina.
Oh,
Their forwards and defense, terrible,
right.
but some shockingly good goaltending.
Interesting. Okay. And we've seen goaltending can steal games, steal series. So do we think Ryan has a shot at making the playoffs? Is it possible?
Are you serious?
I don't know. I'm shooting a hypothetical out here, but yes,
Anything
I am
is
serious.
possible.
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
according to Kevin Garnett.
We're gonna need some seriously standout performances from some. So this is the challenge of it. Our infallible ratings
Right.
don't necessarily super effectively take into account endurance.
Yes, the endurance and durability. Yes, everyone's kryptonite when it comes to goaltenders.
A little bit. So they could win a whole whack of games for the first 12 games, and then
They might get a bit go to sleep.
Yeah, so I mean, carrying on with the goaltending trend, not only does Ryan have good, strong goaltending right now, there's also Askarov in the system, as well as Thomas Milic, who's from just down the road from Norseman headquarters down in Coquitlam,
Wow.
British Columbia.
Hey,
so
that's
there's a little bit of local flavor there as
Yeah.
well. And also big shout out, and I appreciate the theme of the Dublin Shamrocks drafting Jagger Furkis, who just looks like he's a Dublin Shamrock.
That's great. Nice.
And staying on that same theme, I mean, the wrestler here is obviously Shane.
Gotta be Seamus. I mean, we saw him last night. I mean, and pasty white gingers, we've gotta love Seamus. I think he's like 6'7", pasty white, hasn't seen a tanning bed in years. Big tufted orange hair, goatee, and he came to the ring with a shillelagh last night.
All right.
But the villainous, who was it? The other guy,
Oh, the German gentleman.
the German gentleman, broke his shillelagh in an act of disrespect.
Sounds like something my people would do. All right, let's move on.
Let's move on. Okay, Ryan, great job. Keep those goaltenders going. All right, who's next?
Oh, this is also a bit of a sad one.
I am sad to
This
see
is
this.
our second biggest drop in the rankings from
Ooh,
last year,
ouch.
tied for second.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's Sheetal, the Chicago Tigers.
The Tigers got caught by the tail, Matt.
Huh?
What happened to the Tigers?
Sorry, how?
What was that?
Oh, that's my daughter practicing on her recorder upstairs.
Did you think the place was haunted? Or it was
I thought it was the cat.
Did you think it was Sheetal being like, I'm not the worst team? Like, Sheetal, you're alive. How can you be a ghost? So the Tigers, Matt, a huge drop for the Tigers.
So yeah, not a lot of elite talent up front, but maybe Byfield and Norris get them there eventually. Plus, they have the misspelled Iserman in the system as well. So like, there's stuff there. I would describe, this is a team that's coming down from like a pretty good run near the top.
Yeah, for sure.
Their wrestling analogy is they are Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah.
He had a really good run early in his WWF career back in the old days, and then sort of like languished in the lower card for a while, but then later had a resurgence. So we're hoping that Byfield can carry that second, third act.
Yes. I don't know.
Tigers in the future.
I don't know if Sheetal's ever hit anyone in the head with a guitar, but he could. He could, in theory.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say he couldn't.
He's a very pleasant fellow.
I've partied with Sheetal. That's not hard to picture.
Eric, what's going on with Sheetal? What area can he improve on? He's got a good defense.
He's got a solid defense.
Solid
It's-
defense,
Again,
okay.
it's a goaltending issue.
Ah.
As we see,
I think we're going to say this for almost
this
every
is the
single
common
team.
theme that's miring these bottom tier teams for the
It
most
really is. And you can really be creative with your forward and defense, but like, this is
you don't have a
goaltending. If you don't have a goaltender, you're probably not going to win. Okay.
Exactly.
Well, Sheetal, though, he's worked some magic before. He knows the sim really well. We'll see. So Sheetal, don't let this get you down. I want you to get up and have fun and hit someone in the head with a guitar. Next.
Terrible advice.
All right, next number
23.
Number 23.
It's a league favorite.
Yeah.
It's Sean.
Johnny.
It's the Spartans.
The Spartans.
The exact same spot they were in last year.
Hey, why move?
Yeah.
If you're comfortable, you're comfortable.
Be proud of who you are.
Matt, what do we got about the Spartans? What's the info? Give us the beef.
So I don't actually know what Sean's going to do this season. Like this could be a situation where we've got a goal chaser.
Which
Hard
is
to
fine.
say. There's definitely stuff in place here that looks really good. So Logan Cooley and Casa, if they hit their full potential, like this could be a very quick sort of rocket ride back up to where we're used to seeing the Spartans. That's really, I think, the core pieces of what he needs to have happen. He for the wrestler analogy, he reminds me of a wrestler named Bo Dallas, who was a second generation wrestler who had all sorts of family members who were in the business, oozes potential, but early in his career took an awful lot of losses. I think that's what we're going to see this season is a lot of L's for St. Louis, but like you can see that the talent and raw capability is there, and if it hits, like there's going to be a really good future here.
Yeah, the turnaround could be very good. It's interesting. Some teams you're like, oh, they're like 3 or 5 years away. Some teams are like, actually, they could be a 5 or 10 point swing next year, like as early as next season, based on who they have. Eric, what do you think about the Shamrocks? And by the Shamrocks, I mean the Spartans. We already talked about the Shamrocks. Sorry.
Well, any team like the Spartans that has a core franchise kind of player that they're going to hang on to for life, I respect that deeply, and that's what we got here in Kopitar.
Right.
He is going to die a Spartan, for better or worse.
Can't trade him this year. He's his franchise player, right?
For sure,
Right.
but I don't think that's going to make any difference to Sean's MO as far as Anse is concerned. And then a little bit of an exciting one. His top defenseman this year, Rasmus Andersson, having a very good season in that other league.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's going to be a stud next season. So, speaking to Matt's quick turnaround suggestion, that could be factoring into the plan.
All right. Well, we hope Sean doesn't stay down there for too long. Although I say that, not everybody can be good. By definition, as you've said, there's the amount of wins and losses stays the same.
It does.
Not everyone can improve. So when I say I hope Sean does better, I kind of do, but that means someone has to do worse. I'm conflicted. Let's move on. Who is next? We've got 2 more in the Fool's Gold category.
Correct, we
And
do.
at number 22, we have
It's Jacksonville. One of our more recent teams. In
Yes.
the league. Up 3 spots from last season.
Okay.
Yep, and it is on the strength of goaltending.
Is that so?
Flat out.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
This is
Not
a
many-
fun team.
Not many teams can say that.
Yeah, Dusty's got a plan. I'm not entirely sure I understand what it is, but I'm enjoying watching it from the outside. It's very exciting.
And Charlie Lindgren.
Heck of a rating this season.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have captured what I have in my notes here. It's Charles Lindgren boosts this team by quite a bit.
Yeah.
But with 4 first-round picks next year, there's also a path there. This was actually one of the easier analogies for me to come up with. This team is Raven's flock. So there's Raven at the top as the incredible, right? You know, like pseudo-star wrestler. And then you've got like a bunch of unknowns beneath. And if a couple of those guys hit, a couple of those first-round picks land, maybe there's something there.
Fantastic. Yeah, hit him with the ebb and flow DDT. Yeah, very exciting. I'm really happy to see Jacksonville kind of make small incremental improvements, and we'll see what is in store with us this year. Yeah, like seeing those new teams improve. Our league's tough, in case you haven't noticed. Cameron, our league's not tough. You're going to do great. Don't worry about it. All right, our last team now
Indeed.
in the Fool's Gold category. And we're nearing the end of this video. We're going to do chunks of 10. I should have mentioned that earlier, by the way. Next up, we have the Brno Barons at number 21.
Bob's down 6 spots from last year.
Bob's down 6 a bit. Okay, well, Matt, what happened? Why did Brno drop a bit? What do you think?
Well, you know I don't talk about Brno.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay.
On brand.
All right.
But I will say, I don't talk about Brno. That won't change. But I can't remember if I've told this analogy in the past, but Kyle Connor amuses me immensely.
How so?
Because he looks like a guy who like rolls into your beer league hockey game and nobody knows like whose friend he is or like how he got there.
Right.
But he scores 4 goals and crushes like a dozen beer in the locker room. So you just let him keep coming out.
Yeah,
That's accurate.
100%. Yes.
And he's an elite goal scorer, obviously.
Yeah,
so
it's incredible.
that's my That's my Bruno.
Nice. I like that.
pretty
Do we,
solid.
we don't have a wrestler though for Bruno. No, we don't talk about Bruno. Okay, Aaron, what do we think?
I mean, for me, the main reason that he's dropped that much in the rankings is just Saros had a rough re-rate compared
yeah.
to his historic highs.
Yeah,
It's
and
that simple.
he used to
The
rely.
rest of the team didn't change a heck of a lot around that.
He used to rely heavily on Saros,
Yeah.
and Saros has had a bit of a tumble.
Yep.
Okay, well we'll see what Bruno can do. I know he's got some okay defensemen. Forwards are not the worst, so we're getting a little closer now to an area where we're like, yeah, they could make a playoff push. So good luck this season, Bob, and I hope I defeat you every single time I play you. The last team in the Fool's Gold category. Unfortunately, Eric accidentally locked his phone, and so
That was the last.
That was the last one.
I think that's the end of this.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
That is the end of the segment, gentlemen. Well done. Hey, great job, teams 30 to 21. Keep that head up. Make some trades. Don't listen to my advice, actually. Don't. You can listen to my advice when I say this. Watch the rest of the preseason power rankings coming up next.